you are in the realm of the spirit, God reveals things to you. Okay? He reveals things. He reveals situations to you. He reveals troubles to you, and you have to intercede. That's why he said, the Spirit make an intercession, because we know not what we should pray for as we ought to. So if we know what we should pray for all the time, then we'll be praying for it all the time. But there's some things we don't know we should be praying for. And so we have to go in the spirit realm, and God will put a persons or place in our hearts, in our mind, and we're praying for them, and we don't know why. Now, I'm going to give you an example here today, and this should bless you. I remember years and years ago, this is no hindrance to the restaurant. I just don't go, and I think they closed down, but when we first arrived in Newton, the place to go was where? Don't holler that too loud, but y'all know the place to go. That's where you used to go, and people used to take me there. I really, it's a nice place, but I don't feel comfortable in here. Something about it. I just didn't feel comfortable. But then I was headed back home one day, headed on the interstate. The Lord said, turn around and go to that place. I said, why? He didn't tell me why. He just told me, go, turn around, go to that place and sit down. So I went around, I turned to that place, and I sit down. I feel y'all know I'm finna go. Miss Shirley, you know where I'm going with this, don't you? Yeah. I didn't know why. I didn't know why. But the Spirit said, go. I said, wow. So I went to that place and sat down at the particular restaurant, and then a few minutes later, the Spirit released me and said, go home. Go to a restaurant, sit down, don't order nothing. Just sit there till I tell you to go. And then a few minutes later, they said, go home. So I got up, I went home. I was like, oh, praise the Lord. I said, I don't know what that was about, but at least I obeyed the voice of God. Then, I think it was the same day, Miss Shirley had an accident. The same day. And at the time, she was pregnant with her first son. I didn't know, but God knew that you need to cover this place in prayer. You follow what I'm saying? But see, sometimes when you say stuff like that, people get spooky. You don't have to just get spooky with things. You can just get in the realm of God and know that God speaks to you. God will speak to you to pray for places. He will speak to you to pray for people. And he will speak to you to pray at a certain hour. Let me prove that. At the same hour. At the same hour. Come on, say at the same hour. Now watch this. Peter and John went up into the temple to pray, right? Peter and John went up into the temple to pray, and there was a lame man there at the temple, and he was rattling his cup. Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have give I thee. It was at that place that God needed Peter and John to be. But watch this. God was training Peter and John for later on in ministry. First lady said, I ain't telling the story right. I've been there. All right, I always tell you I mess up on stories, so. But y'all get the kind of idea of what I'm saying. Praise the Lord. But in the spirit realm, there are things that happen. There are things that happen. Now, Peter was being taught by God how to move from place to place and to transition from place to place without really having notification of what he's doing. Watch this. At one time, Peter is getting a vision, and God is sending him a vision of different types of animals, and sheep are coming down, and Peter don't know what it's about. But then later on, God said, arise, there's 3 men at the door. He goes to the door, and there it is, 3 Gentiles. Why? God was preparing him for the ministry of healing without really understanding the ministry of healing and restoration, without really understanding the totality of what he was doing. Let me go a little further with this. Are y'all ready for this? All right, watch this. Jesus was in a specific place. The nobleman sent somebody after him. I think I'm telling this story. The nobleman was sending after Jesus. He said, come heal my son. And heal my son. And Jesus said, I will come. He said, wait, I'm not worthy for you to come under my roof. He said, but I understand spiritual authority. If you just speak the word, my son will be healed, or my servant will be healed. And Jesus spoke the word. And on the way back to town, when he got back to the nobleman's house, when the nobleman met his servants in the road, he asked the question. They said, everything is well with your servant. He said, good. He said, what time did it happen? He said, thus and so time it happened. And the nobleman knew that it was the time that Jesus was praying for his servant. So what needs to happen in the body of Christ is we need to get to the reality of the depthness of the spirit realm. Now all this surface stuff is good, but the surface stuff won't keep you when your dream is at stake. You're going to have to get in a realm to dig deeper because you don't know your dream is at stake. And what happens is most of the time we don't even realize that the thief comes for 3 reasons: steal, kill, and destroy. Now, if he's coming for those 3 reasons, we eat. How many of y'all ever quoted that verse before? Come on, wave at me. The thief cometh not but for to steal, kill, and destroy. Come on, be real. How many of y'all quoted that? Now, we'd have quoted that. But what we don't understand is that if the thief coming but for to steal, kill, and destroy, he's got to have a strategy to do it. And he's got to materialize the strategy. And most of the time, listen to me, we deal with the surface stuff. And the enemy depends upon the ignorance of us not wanting to learn the deeper things and deal with the surface stuff. And not knowing that it's more at stake than just right then. And so he keeps us fighting little frivolous battles, and if he can keep us occupied long enough, then our big dream kind of just take wings and fly away. But while you're hoping and while you're dreaming, that means there is some things that you need to do. And this is one of the reasons why God has been sharing with me and my wife personally for the last few weeks, the last few months. When you see different situations happen, sometimes it's not just the fact that, oh, it's just happening. It is a strategy that the enemy devises and uses to keep you on track. And and sometimes we know it's a strategy, but we tend not to look at the depthness of the strategy because we feel we're going to make it to our dream anyway. But the devil don't want you to make it to your dream anyway. And so he sends people, he sends plans, and he plots attacks. People's plans and plots attack. That's what the enemy does. And most of the time, we don't even know it. Watch this. You just read a few minutes ago, had they known they were killing Jesus, they would not have done it. But they didn't know. So they killed Jesus, and they didn't know it. They plotted it, they planned it, and people carried it out. Come on, Wade. And Jesus was crucified by people. The demons may have influenced them, but the people carried it out. So if the people are carrying it out, you need to find out, are people being used by the enemy to destroy your dream? The devil will use people. Here's what we've got to realize. That if we're going to dig into the spirit realm, let me tell you something else. Back in the days, I think there was a king, and I believe it was the prophet Elisha. It was Elisha or Elijah? I think it was Elisha. Elisha, God would speak to him about the plans of the attack that the people had against the children of Israel. And every time they were planning something, Elisha would tell the king, King, don't send your men down there. They planning to attack them. And so the king got tired. He said, I'm tired of this. He said, every time I go to come up against the children of Israel, somebody tell them. He said, who's the spy in the camp? They said, nobody. Say, it's that prophet. Every time we get ready to do something, God tells the prophet tells the king, and the king moves the people. And you know what he said? All right, let's kill the prophet. He said, let's kill the prophet so the prophet won't tell the king so we can kill the people. So they sent people, watch this, to kill the prophet. The prophet was in the house. The servant of one of the younger prophets went out to get some water. And when he went out to get some water, he looked around and saw thousands of people around them. They said thousands of people to get one man. And the little prophet, the young prophet, ran back in the house. Oh, Lord, what should we do? What should we do? And I can imagine the lion saying, come on, boy, come to yourself. Come to yourself. They that be with us are more than they that with them. And the young prophet said, oh, no. There's a whole lot of people out there. And it's just you and me and a few more prophets. Now, what we going to do? He said, boy, I've been training White Stone. I've been training them for years for this, and they still can't see. I've been telling them the enemy gonna come, and they still can't see. I've been telling them if you don't move, you're gonna lose it, and they still can't see. And so he said, Lord, open this boy's eyes that he can see. And when Elisha prayed, open his eyes, the boy's eyes came open, and there were chariots of fire all around him. But watch this. Woo, come on, sir, watch this. Now, this is getting into the deep stuff of God. Because the people that came to kill the prophet had the opportunity to kill the people. Because God smote all of them with blindness. And, ooh, how many of you, when your enemy would be at a weak point, would say, ooh, they at a weak point. Kill them when they down. God said, no. Don't kill them. Take all these folk that came after you and lead them. And Elisha led them back to a certain place. And then their eyesight came open. I'm trying to share with you, in order to dig into the spirit realm, you got to come out the carnal realm. You can't walk by what you see. Because if you keep walking by what you see, you're going to miss what's unseen. If you keep trying to see what you're looking at, what you're hoping for will never come because you are talking against what you're believing in. Watch me. Did that make sense? So what we do, we create our future by our words. And when we create our future, our words by this. Some of y'all wondering. That's why God tells you, be swift to hear and slow to speak. Watch this. When we speak in the realm of being so tired, so fed up, I'm fed up. I'm almost here now. I'm almost here. So if you're fed up with something, you're going to do what? You're going to stop, walk away from it, or leave it. Right? Because you have spoken. And people sometimes put your words to a test. I learned a lesson in the 7th grade.